Hey all, here OS Reviews. Over the past few years, there's been a vinyl resurgence, where LPs are back in style and what's retro is now cool. In fact, an argument can be made that physical copies of music stored on something like discs have more soul, have more meaning and significance than just a digital copy which can be found on any phone downloaded through the internet. It's basically a code of ones and zeros. But the argument is that vinyl copies of music can both sound better as well as have more collectible value. So whether it's for nostalgia or for valid reasons, the market has been flooded with many of these vinyl players over the past 2-3 years. Unfortunately, not all of them sound that great, and many of them which claim to convert vinyl to MP3 end up basically degrading the quality and ruining the point of a vinyl player in the first place. But Archeer is here to bring us their variant, which sells for $130, has a real wood finish, and has also a diamond stylus. There's also built-in speakers, but of course you can hook this up to better home stereo sets to really enjoy the music that you're listening to. And the new feature here is that this version has built-in Bluetooth, so you can technically also use it as just a Bluetooth wireless speaker when you're not listening to a vinyl record. In the box, we have the vinyl player itself. There's also a quick user manual. There is a proprietary AC charger which uses this pin. And on the back, we have the stereo speakers. They are mounted and facing downwards, but if you have a flat surface, it should reflect and still give us enough sound. And here's where the power plug goes in. It doesn't have a built-in battery though, so if you remove it from power, it's going to turn off immediately. Overall, the design of the record player is classy, and because of the wood texture, it gives it a more retro, authentic vibe than many of the other low-cost players which are made entirely out of plastic. So this is as far back as the angle of the hinge can go, but because it's large enough, it can close up and the record can still be spinning. Inside we have all the controls, including a knob that we can switch and turn to the right to physically turn it on. It also acts as the volume adjustment, and we have an LED that pops onto life. Tapping on the mode key will go from the vinyl mode into the Bluetooth mode. So if we tap on it now, we see this blue flickering light, and now you can just connect it to a smartphone or a computer. And also in the Bluetooth mode, you can also tap on these keys to skip tracks and kind of play pause your music. Pretty conventional. Now over here we have the controls for the vinyl, including the disc speed. So on all the vinyls, you'll see it printed on there, what speed it should be played at, whether 33 for instance or 78. Now, one of the complaints that I do have is it seems like this plate, which is kind of a plastic material that sits on top, is a little bit loose. I couldn't find any screws, so maybe it's just glued down, but you can tell how as I'm pushing it along, it does slide and move around a little bit underneath, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but if you're playing back a record, as it kind of spins round and round, it sometimes creates some unevenness because of the motion, and that may create a little bit of popping and inconsistency in the playback of your sound. So it's not quite as audiophile grade as more expensive record players on the market. We can also tell because, again, the player part here is made out of plastic as opposed to a more expensive aluminum. So again, with more expensive record players, it's all about stability. Playing back records, it's quite simple, and I consider it a semi-automatic player. What I mean by that is there is a small motor inside of the arm for the needle, in the sense that if I kind of just place it towards the record, it starts spinning automatically. If I remove it, it will stop the spinning motion. Furthermore, I can also use this little lever here to kind of physically push and slowly raise the needle, and then when I start playing back a track, I can lower this arm again for it to automatically lower slowly. And this will prevent the record from getting scratched as well as the needle from getting damaged. The part that's not completely automatic would be the sense that you can't really rely on the record to find the start of the song or the disc for you. On some more expensive models, it will automatically lower itself onto the bottom edge of the record to start the song and then move inwards to finish the disc. But overall, I would say that the playback experience is quite good. Even though, like I mentioned, if you lie it completely flat, you notice that the disc can occasionally have a little bit of a slightly irregular motion when it's moving along. So next, let's do a quick demo of what the built-in speakers sound like using Bluetooth. other features, including the conversion quality to MP3, I would say is also quite good, but then again, because of the slightly unevenness of the record as it spins across the plate here, it can still cause a little bit of some distortion and noise in the background. And obviously the MP3 file isn't going to be as high quality as the vinyl itself, which is kind of the whole point of playing back a vinyl in the first place. And before we end this video, a quick size comparison with another low-cost vinyl player that also has an MP3 conversion feature. But you can tell that how most of the units like these are mostly made out of plastic completely, and they're a bit more compact, to the extent where if you have it closed up, you actually can't have the vinyl inside still playing. So that's where I think Archeer did a slightly better job with the build as well as the design. So that's more or less it for our hands-on review of the Archeer turntable player. Also, the TS5310 is the model number. It is very easy to use. The fact that it has that built-in speaker, doesn't require you to drive it with an amp, and the fact that it has a built-in Bluetooth function as well to use it as just a conventional speaker when you don't want to listen to vinyls is actually pretty interesting. So you can check out more details about this model in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Archeer turntable vinyl player.